We're going to welcome in Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. Check out all his stuff on NJ.com. Talk a little high school hoops. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, Sully. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. Trying to wrap my head around all this basketball and wrestling that's going on. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it's a huge weekend and always is, and it's a little bit of little something for everyone. Let's just say it that way.
There were about 4 different times yesterday when I had no idea what day it was. Wait, is it Thursday? Is it Saturday? Do I need to be somewhere? What's going on?
The basketball tournament. What? It started on Monday, and now we're 5-6 days into things, and it quickly gets reduced down to the contenders. So obviously it's a great time of year, and the time of year that we all look forward to.
Kev, I think next year I'm going to need, at this time of year, like a daily email from you, sort of a what's going on, keep everything square for me.
No, I can do that. That's no big deal, I'll tell you what, Sully. I'm an old school guy.
What to look for? Kevin Minnick's daily email. What to look for today?
Hey, I've got a notebook sitting on the desk, and I write everything down. And I'm prepared. I prepare myself as best as I can for the days ahead. And you just kind of have to, you write it down. You look forward to it, and then move on. So
yeah. Now, Kev, do you have those? Do you have those black composition books with like each season?
You know what, Sully? I used to keep a book. I used to keep books for every sport I covered.
Wow, really?
For the longest time, and it got to the point where obviously technology has taken over, and you can readily access a lot of things. But yeah, I have those little black composition books, and I've got some records and things that a lot of people don't have, and probably wish they did because they didn't write it down. So. I can go back and look at things periodically when I have to, but if you write things down, then you don't forget. So it's an art at this point. So I've mastered that.
What's been your impression so far, Kev, of the sectional playoffs? I mean, for the most part, it's been the top 1, 2, 3 seeds moving on. We did see a really outstanding win by Millville over top-seeded Eastern there in Group 4. So you're starting to see a couple of upsets here as we get into the quarterfinals and semis.
Yeah, where I think you look at brackets and you kind of think, okay, well, the higher seed should win this one, and you look at it and you're saying you're all done, and you're like, all right, well, I got 1 through 4 into the semis. I got 1, 2, 4, and 5 into the semis, and something along those lines. But year in and year out, there always is going to be that upset somewhere along the line that kind of messes up everybody's bracket, or teams that you figured they really weren't going to be at this point. And this year there's been a couple of them here and there, but for the most part, the seeds have held pretty strong. So it's what you kind of. When you're looking at the bracket, you hope that that those teams that have earned those high seeds can continue to play that well in the tournament. And for the better part of it, it's worked out that way.
Kev, tell us more about Seneca. I think everybody was kind of expecting that semifinal in South Jersey Group 3 to be Ocean City and Mainland, and Seneca comes down to Ocean City on Thursday night and takes down the Red Raiders. So Mainland will now host that semifinal at 6 p.m. today. So tell us more about, what are they, the Golden Eagles or something like that? I don't even know their mascot.
They are the Golden Eagles.
All right, I got it right.
They're the Golden Eagles, and they're a little bit of a surprise, to be quite honest with you. They're a 10 seed. They're a team that made it to that sectional final last season, losing to Delsey at home last year, and they had a couple kids come back. Johnny Kenevin and Malin Jasinski are back, and we're back for them this year. A couple of juniors who, when they get hot from behind the arc, can kind of carry that team. And yeah, I'm quite honest with you, I was a little surprised that they are in the spot they are today. But it's the tournament, and it's a one and done situation. And if a couple of bounces go your way and a couple of shots fall, you can be right there. And I think that's kind of been the case with Seneca. And, I saw Seneca play earlier in the season against Washington Township, and Township beat them pretty bad. And I kind of looked at that Seneca team, and, I just wasn't, in all honesty, I wasn't bowled over by them. And here they are playing in a semifinal, one step from getting back to to their second straight sectional final. So, like I said, anything happens when the tournament rolls around, and obviously Seneca is an example of that.
Talk with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. Check out all his stuff on NJ.com. And Kevin, one of the brackets that doesn't have a one seed remaining is South Jersey Group 1. We haven't talked too much about the smaller schools in the last couple of weeks, but you're looking at those semifinals. Number 8, Clayton versus number 4, Haddon Township. Number 2, Glassboro against probably, I guess, what you'd consider the Cinderella of South Jersey basketball so far, Wildwood, a 14 seed. They go on the road and knock off number 3, Salem, and then number 11, Pittman, to get into that semifinal.
Yeah, on that one top of the bracket with Clayton and Haddon Township, two teams that I don't think maybe people would have thought Haddon Township could possibly get to the semifinals, as the 4 seed. But, Clayton had to knock off the number 1 seed in Pensgrove, and, they played them tough during the regular season, only lost by a point. And, if people have not seen Clayton play, I mean, they're a very interesting team to watch because they play like no other team, at least in South Jersey, and I'm going to pretty much bank on the state. They play what is Frank Rago has called a tornado system, and they bring in 5 guys at a time, 4 or 5 guys at a time. They play for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and they do nothing but put pressure on the ball, try to get up and down the floor as quickly as possible, beat you down, and launch shots as quickly as they possibly can. And most of their games are played in the 80s, and they've had a handful of games in the hundreds. And, did I think Clayton could go to Pensgrove and win that game? I didn't think they'd win. I thought they had a shot, but I didn't think they could ultimately win the game. But, here we go, and they got a senior guard in Dorian DePina, who's averaging close to 30 points a game in the tournament. And that's on a team that play, and they're rotating 12 to 15 guys a game. So, Clayton's going to go into Haddon Township today, and I'm sure Haddon Township, will have be prepared for it as best as possible. But the Clayton, they kind of wear you down, and the system from time to time has not worked, and other teams have been able to handle them, and they've come up with on the winning side. But when Clayton gets themselves running up and down the floor, and the other team starts feeling it, and they're not as strong, and they're not as deep as Clayton is, it catches up pretty quickly, and they can wear you down. And in the other half of the bracket, yes, Wildwood at the 14 seed. I don't think anyone thought that they would be where they're at right now, and and that's no smack in the face to what they've done. But you have to be a little realistic and look at their schedule this season and the seeding that they're in. To be playing Glassboro today, the number 2 seed, for a shot at a chance in a sectional final, has got to be thrilling for those kids down there. So, they'll leave it all on the floor today, I'm sure. And Glassboro is a team that got past Woodbury the other night. Woodbury being the defending state champion in Group 1. They lost a huge player to transfer in Aaron Estrada before the season. People didn't think Woodbury would be as deep as they turned out to be, but Glassboro snuck by them the other night, and I think a Tri-County Conference semifinal today is nice for that league, and I give Glassboro the edge though, because I think playing at home and having a few more athletes is going to be to their advantage.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ.com, and Kevin, looking at South Jersey Group 2. Pretty much what we expected. Number 1, Haddonfield versus number 2, Camden in the championship game. Haddonfield really didn't have a lot of trouble with West Deptford, and same thing with Camden. They took down Pleasantville 77-54. So that's really the final that everybody wanted to see in that section, and I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I mean, March 4th, Camden at Haddonfield, so that gym's going to be packed, and really two of the top teams in South Jersey going at it.
Yeah, Haddonfield, number 11 right now in the state. They're 28-1, and a Camden team that's 19-7 now that has finally playing the kind of basketball people expected to see out of them. They've turned it up in the tournament, and they were absolutely dynamite last night against Pleasantville. They closed out the first half playing extremely well. They were up 20-some points. They put together a 27-2 run between the end of the first quarter to about the midway point of the second, and it was essentially game over at that point. It's the game, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it all season. People have talked about it all season. Camden coach Vic Costarton tells them people have asked him about it all season. When's the Haddonfield? What time's the Haddonfield game? And Vic's like, we still got to win before we can even think about Haddonfield.
Yeah, right.
But that game is going to be at. I'm pretty certain that game will be at Cherry Hill East. It'll be on Monday. The time hasn't been solidified yet, but that place is going to be rocking. And if those who have never been to Cherry Hill East Gym, it's a big house, and it holds quite a few, and it's going to be loud and it's going to be crazy because this is the game people have been waiting for. They've played each other now. This will be the third year in a row in a major basketball game for these two teams. And last year Haddonfield knocked them off in the semifinal in overtime, and the year before that, in the last game played in Clarence Turner Gym at Camden High School, John Evans hits a floater down the lane as the buzzer rings in overtime to give Camden a win. So there's some history between these two teams. Some of these kids have played in both of those games. The fans are going to be at it. The students are from Haddonfield, I'm sure, will be. They'll occupy their space, and it's going to just be a highly entertaining game. The way both teams are playing right now, they are peaked. They are at right now where they need to be and where both of those coaches wanted them to be coming into this game. So, it's all there. And, you can look at the storylines are all over the place. And, I would just say, once that time gets solidified and they tell you when you can get to the gym, get there because that place is going to be, one exciting gym to be in on Monday night.
Kev, real quick before we let you go, some great matchups in non-public A South, talking about top-seeded St. Augustine versus number 4 Camden Catholic and number 3 Red Bank Catholic going on the road. Pretty long road trip down to number 2 Paul VI. How do you see that shaking out?
I think Camden Catholic and St. Augustine's a toss-up. I think both teams have been played real well lately. Both teams have their obviously their key strengths. And that one's a tough one for me to pick a winner out of, because both teams have been playing so well. But in the other game with Paul VI and Red Bank Catholic, I just love the way Paul VI has been playing. I think I've been talking about that for a couple of weeks now. They've turned it up another notch, and I in all honesty, I think Paul VI is the team to beat in non-public A South. I thought that before the tournament started. I'm sticking with it. They just bring so much energy, so much athleticism. They can beat you from the outside. They can beat you on the inside. And they just never seem to take the foot off the pedal. And I think that's a big factor. Some teams will get themselves a lead, get themselves up 8 or 10 points and kind of maybe pull the ball out and not continue to do the things that got them that lead. Paul VI doesn't do that. Paul VI will continue to put the pressure on you, to continue to mount, roll up the points. So, I think it's going to come down to Paul VI and then, whoever survives down at St. Augustine tonight, because I think that game's going to be, I don't know if a ton of points are going to be scored in that game. That game could be in the 40s or 50s. But like I said, I think that one is clearly a toss-up at this point. We'll wait and see. The worst part about it is the final is at Jackson Liberty, and everybody's going to have to travel up 295, up the turnpike a little bit to catch that final on Tuesday. But so be it. But get to the gym today and get an opportunity to watch those teams, and those kids play.
Good stuff as always, Kev. We appreciate the very detailed report, and enjoy the games this weekend. We'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
All right, so thanks again.